We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us, talking about the topic of homelessness, mental illness. Nathan Sharkey, photojournalist here. We started the show this morning with a very, very interesting piece that he put together, an 8-minute piece for TV News that's long, looking as he followed a psychologist into the communities where these homeless folks have set up camp and trying to understand the psychology of it all. And we've got a lot of people with questions and comments, Nate. So let's go to Elaine. Elaine, good morning. Hi, Elaine. Hey, what's on your mind, Elaine?
Well, I was homeless one time when I got out of jail. I did 13 months until I was indicted and I was released. They dropped the charges. I was innocent, okay? I had nowhere to go but the clothes on my back. It took one individual to help me. Now I have a job. Now I'm working and I'm back on my feet again. And it is very hard when you come out of jail like that and have nobody. But these halfway houses and these missions and all, I mean, and it's a mental thing because now I'm on medication.
Good.
That I didn't know, you know, bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic. But, I mean, as long as I take my medicine, I do well. And as far as the homeless people, not all of them choose it.
Oh, right.
It used to be like that, you know.
Can I ask you who helped you? Or, I mean, you don't really need to divulge in the information, but who?
A religious lady did, a Jehovah's Witness at first. But one day I had a drink after work, and she threw me out. And then I was back homeless, sleeping on the side of the building, and I was by myself, a female. I went to the mission, and then I met this gentleman that took me in, and I mean, he's great. I mean, it's not about religion or anything. It's just helping me out, making sure that I was okay until I can get on my feet. I mean, I have an apartment now, like I said, and I take my medication, but it takes one person to actually help somebody. All these little missions and things like that, it's once you're caught up in that system, it's hard to get out.
Yes.
Okay, well, listen, I'm so glad you called because she's an example where if it's just one person that reaches out and gets her on the meds, helps her out, and then if she's willing to do it, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, and you sound like you're doing well. We really appreciate your call. Let's go to Ann. Ann, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Ann.
I live in East Nashville where there's an awful lot of new building going on, and there are an awful lot of empty homes that have not been sold. I also live along the railroad tracks where we've got a small area where people have started congregating and living. I've already reached out to my councilman, to the mayor's office, to the railroad, and to the Metro Police Department about a small encampment. My concern is these people are plugging up their phones to the empty houses. They're taking water from the empty houses, and they're taking food from the gardens along the track. My concern is all of my neighbors do not have the best feeling about the people that are doing this. And I've spent months trying to reach out to get some assistance. I'm told by the railroad it's not illegal to be there. I'm told by the police they can't do anything.
Okay, and you know, a lot of people bring this up, and there's the homeless encampment that they had to go in and clear out earlier this year and the likes. Look, I understand. I guess you would say, Nate, the solution is find a way to get them not to be homeless, because she's right. I mean, some people think, well, is she being called? No. Look, do I want a bunch of homeless people living around the corner from me in some rundown shack? No, I don't. Do you want that? What I would do if that happened is I'd want to try to find a way to help them, but you also understand, you can't have squatters all throughout town. That's not good. It's not right. You don't just slough them away, but you got to help them. But I understand homeowners saying, wait a second, how are we going to address this? Yeah,
well, it's clearly a difficult situation, or there wouldn't be as many homeless as we're having currently.
Right, we're going to have more as this city grows, Nate.
And we don't, I hate to say this, and I hope there's a different way to going about this, but we as a society are just going to have to figure out and maybe possibly have to spend more money on dealing with this situation, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's maybe more mental facilities.
You've talked to the sheriff, haven't you, where he says what, the jail, and he's been on this show, is full of them. Full that have mental illnesses, and there's a revolving door, and they don't have the beds to really treat them. They do their time and they get out maybe worse off than they were when they went in. It's not the sheriff's fault, but he doesn't have the treatment programs.
And Dr. Fleisch herself has said that jails have become mental institutions, but the lack of mental care, because they're not getting mental care, they're incarcerated.
You showed the old buildings that used to be there, the institutions. You got those photos from the archive. And
some Nashville natives might even recognize some of those pictures. The Central Insane Asylum, which is huge. It's where the Dell complex is now. That's where it was.
That's right.
And there is a few more that have been since torn down too. Since then, so
it seems like every year more money is cut from mental illness treatment. And to me, you know, having a severe case of mental illness is every bit as severe as any kind of physical ailment you have, in my opinion. It's debilitating. Let's go to Mike. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. How are you this morning?
Good, Mike. What's on your mind?
Well, one thing, you know, is I walk by the library park just about every day on my way to work, and a voice in my mind tells me not to pass judgment, because I realize that, you know, an injury, a layoff, something that puts me out of work for 6 months, I could be one of those people. I could see that happening. But, you know, the thing about it is, Nick, there are people out there who play this system in their favor. I'll give you a quick story. Over in Nippers Corner, they had a guy that was panhandling every other day. And the merchants got wise to him because they realized there was this Escalade parked in the back parking lot next to the dumpsters every day that he was out there. Sure enough, they called Metro. Metro comes up there, and this police officer starts talking to this guy, trying to reach out to him, telling him he's going to offer him to take him down to the shelter, help him find work. The guy always had some kind of rebuttal. Finally got it out of him that he was down there scamming people.
Meaning that he wasn't homeless, but he was putting on the show, and he's making this money, and he's driving an Escalade.
Yeah, Nick, he was driving a better car than I drive.
Yeah, listen, you know, and I believe stories like that exist, and it's unfortunate because it kind of makes people think, well, everyone's like, and again, I agree, that is the exception to the rule.
Yeah, it's a small percentage.
It simply is the exception. That does not happen. Are there people playing the system? Yeah, but the people you interviewed were not driving Escalades. No one's getting rich panhandling either. I mean, and this guy, I don't know. I wonder really how much, if you really put on a good show, you can make if you're on a good corner panhandling a day. I've heard that some people can make quite a bit of money depending on where you're at and how you present yourself. But in general, no one's getting rich panhandling or selling those newspapers.
Yes, when a couple previous callers said, you know, whether they're having cigarettes or they've got some money to buy some drinks, you know, that's just money that they're working. You know, they're actually working with that paper, and it's a job for them. It really is.
The paper, or they've collected bottles and returned that for money or something along those lines, or like you said, they give it to them maybe, right?
Some people, you know,
some people give them that or give them food. Let's go to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi.
I was recently homeless for a few months, and I had to stay down there at the women's shelter in Nashville. And sitting there while I was so sick and losing everything, I observed three types of people. There were people that were drug and alcohol related. Then there was a third that had severe mental illness, and then there was a third that they were just down on their luck like I was.
Okay.
The state and Metro has cut back tremendously on mental illness and the housing. If someone could just reach out and put out at least 5 good facilities throughout Nashville and the surrounding areas, that would help out a lot. And then if they could do like a mini camp and put those little tiny houses out there. There are so many men and women that feel like if they go to the shelter, it did feel like a jail, because you have to go through a metal detector, then you have to be wanded again, then you have to be in bed by 9, you have to be up by 5. You have this routine, and it did feel like you were in jail. There's a lot of them that do not want to feel like that, and they just want to be on their own. And then the mental illness people, you think about it. If they're 1 minute flipping out on you, they can't keep a job because of their mind is going here and there. And then if they're living in an apartment facility, they might have one of their reactions and having an out-of-control moment in their apartment. They're being kicked out. So I wish there was like old rundown hotels someone could just pitch in, fix it up, and put these people in there and have a couple of social workers and a mental illness psychiatrist or psychologist that could be there to help these people.
Yeah, listen, all that you say is there, and there's so many facets to this problem, and it's the politicians, you know, and who we elect and what their constituents are interested in. And homelessness, unfortunately, I would imagine the vast majority of the homeless you encounter don't vote. Okay, it's not a real powerful voting constituency. It's right, and the politicians who can vote, and of course, first and foremost in every politician's mind anywhere, especially in Tennessee, is purse strings. And what's it going to cost? And will their constituents go for it? And God forbid, does it mean a tax increase? Things like that. And I'm just sorry to say that between lack of understanding and everything else, there's not a priority to help the homelessness. It just isn't. It's left to the churches and charitable organizations.
No, right. But again, let's broaden this out just a bit, you know. Like I think that homelessness is a symptom of mental illness, you know.
I agree with you. I agree.
Now, there are other situations, like, for instance, we're getting people who are down on their luck or
yeah, it's not the only symptom of that. Right.
So if we start really thinking about how are we going to deal with mental illness in our country, really, I think we really need to figure out. Obviously, the old institutions didn't work. That's why they're not here anymore. We had lots of problems with them. Obviously, we remember in the 80s and 70s when there was all kinds of abuse going on. So we need to figure out different ways to deal with this problem, you know, and getting mental care more easy and accessible. I hear stories all the time where people are they're dealing with situations and they just can't get help, they can't be seen, or they keep getting referred down the line. We are just not tackling the mental illness issue in our country at all. And
what makes it egregious is that we know exactly what works. I'm sorry, we know what works and will help these folks. I really believe the issue is paying for it. It's that simple, folks. We know it's no mystery how you help these folks. Everyone's different, but you can put together a plan that will help some of these people who have called in. There's not the beds, there's not the resources to do it. And so, is it a priority or not? We'll take a break. Be back with more of your calls right after this.